Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. In the control room of the International Space Monitoring Agency, Dr. Eli Bennett stood alongside his colleagues, their eyes fixed on the live feeds from various satellites. The room buzzed with a mix of anxiety and excitement as they watched an enormous alien spacecraft descend, its shadow engulfing the small town of Clearwater, Nevada. "Have you ever seen anything like it, Eli?" asked Dr. Marcus Lee, a fellow anthropologist and longtime friend. Eli shook his head, his gaze locked on the screen. "Nothing that wasn't in a movie. It's monumental." The door swung open, and General Carter strode in, his face etched with concern. "Gentlemen, you're up. We need your expertise on the ground." Immediately, Eli and Marcus exchanged a quick, apprehensive glance before gathering their equipment. As they boarded the military helicopter, the reality of their situation sunk in. "Do you think they're hostile?" Marcus asked as the landscape zipped by below them. "I don't know, but I'm not armed with anything more dangerous than a digital recorder and my wits," Eli replied with a wry smile. Upon landing, they were escorted to a makeshift command center near the alien ship. The towering vessel hummed, its surface smooth and opaque, reflecting the setting sun. "I need you two to establish contact," General Carter instructed. "Find out what they want and why they're here." Approaching the vessel, Eli called out, "Hello, we come in peace. We wish to learn about you and share information about us." Silence followed, then a segment of the ship's wall morphed into a doorway, opening with a hiss. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, with iridescent skin that shimmered in the sunlight. "I am Czar of the Threx." The alien's voice boomed, its words perfectly articulated English. "I seek the scholar of your kind." Eli stepped forward, his heart pounding. "I am Dr. Eli Bennett, an anthropologist. This is Dr. Marcus Lee. We study human cultures." "Anthropologist," Czar repeated, tilting its head. "You will share your knowledge with me." "Of course," Eli said, motioning towards their portable tech setup. "Shall we begin here, or would you prefer inside your ship?" "Here. Now." Eli launched into a brief overview of human civilization, art, music, science, all the while watching Zaire for any sign of reaction. Marcus chimed in occasionally, adding details, keen to engage their visitor. "What is this concept of music you speak of?" Zaire asked, its voice laced with curiosity. Eli described the emotional and cultural significance of music, playing a few samples from classical to contemporary on his tablet. Zaire listened, its eyes narrowing, then widening, as if trying to grasp a particularly alien concept. "This music is an emotional expression?" Zaire inquired, pointing to the tablet. "Yes, exactly," Marcus jumped in. "It's a universal language among humans. It can evoke joy, sadness, excitement." "Show me more of your expressions," IR demanded, stepping closer. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ground. Eli and Marcus worked in tandem, describing various human interactions and emotions, from laughing at jokes to crying at loss. As the stars appeared, Zar seemed to ponder their explanations. "I begin to see the complexity of your species. You will come aboard my vessel tomorrow. We will continue." Eli nodded, aware of the importance of their mission. "We'll be ready." As they walked back to the command center, Marcus let out a long whistle. "What do you think, Eli? Are we in over our heads?" Eli's expression was thoughtful. "Maybe. But this is why we study cultures, isn't it? To communicate, understand, and share. Tomorrow, we'll show them who we are." In the quiet of the Nevada desert, under the watchful eyes of the stars and the enigmatic presence of the alien ship, the weight of their task settled on their shoulders. Yet, alongside it, a sliver of excitement grew. This was history in the making, and they were at its heart. As the first light of dawn painted the desert in hues of orange and purple, Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee prepared for their unprecedented day aboard the alien vessel. Armed with various devices and cultural artifacts, they approached the towering ship with a mix of trepidation and excitement. The alien doorway opened silently as they approached, revealing Zayar, who gestured for them to enter. "Your devices will function here. Show me your human world," Zayar stated, leading them into a large chamber filled with screens and unfamiliar technology. Eli set up a digital projector, while Marcus unpacked a series of human cultural artifacts, ranging from books to a small sculpture. "We'll start with a broad overview of Earth's geography, and then move into culture and society." "Sound good?" Eli suggested, looking towards Zyar for confirmation. Thar nodded, its gaze intense. Proceed. Eli clicked the remote, and images of Earth's landscapes flickered onto the screen. Oceans, mountains, cities, and forests. Our planet is diverse in its environments, which influences the variety of our cultures, he explained. As the presentation continued, Marcus handed her a book. This is a collection of our world's literature. It includes poetry, stories, and essays about our human experiences. Thar flipped through the pages, pausing to touch the printed words. You record knowledge and emotions on paper. Fascinating. Yes, books are a cornerstone of human culture. They convey not just knowledge, but also the essence of human thought and feeling, Marcus replied, watching Zyar's reactions closely. Eli switched the slides to images of famous artworks and musical scores. Art and music are not just entertainment for us. They're expressions of the human spirit. Each piece tells a story, conveys an emotion, or captures a moment in time. Show me this music in practice. How does it manifest? Zyar asked, pointing to a score of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Marcus pulled up a recording on his tablet and pressed play. The room filled with the powerful and dramatic notes of the symphony. Zyar listened intently, its eyes closing briefly as the music swelled. This creates an emotional response in you? Zyar inquired, its voice curious. It does, Eli nodded. Music can make us feel joy, sorrow, excitement, sometimes all at once. To understand fully, I must experience more of these emotions. Can you demonstrate? Eli and Marcus exchanged a glance, understanding the depth of Zyar's request. We can show you examples of human interaction that are associated with these emotions, Marcus said as he pulled up videos ranging from a laughter-filled birthday party to serene scenes of meditation. Zyar watched, fascinated. Your lives are woven with complexities of feelings. I begin to grasp the significance of emotions to your kind. We also express emotions through direct interaction. Like this, Eli extended his hand in a handshake, a common human greeting. Zyar hesitated, then mimicked the motion, its grip firm yet cautious. This is a greeting. It is simple yet symbolic. Exactly, Eli smiled. It's a sign of peace or agreement among individuals. We also use hugs, smiles, even tears to convey more intense feelings. Curious, Zyar murmured, seemingly intrigued by the physical aspect of human emotions. As the session drew to a close, Zyar stood, towering over both men. I require time to assimilate this knowledge. You will return tomorrow. We have much to explore. Eli packed up the projector, and Marcus gathered the artifacts. As they left the ship, the early morning sun had risen high, casting long shadows across the desert. They walked back to their base camp in silence, each man lost in thought over the day's revelations. What do you think, Marcus? Did we make an impact? Eli finally asked. I think we did more than that, Marcus replied, looking back at the alien ship. We started a dialogue that might change everything. Under the crisp, starlit sky, Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee were back in their temporary lab, sorting through data and preparing for the next day's session with Zyar. The air was thick with anticipation and a fair bit of caffeine as they reviewed notes and discussed strategies. So Zyar seems particularly interested in the emotional aspects of our culture, Marcus noted, tapping his pen against his notebook. Perhaps tomorrow we focus on human relationships, delve deeper into emotions? Eli nodded, adjusting his glasses. Good idea. Emotions are one thing, but explaining why and how they lead to lasting bonds might give Zyar some real insights into human behavior. The sound of footsteps interrupted their planning. Surprised, they turned to see Zyar standing at the entrance of the lab, an unexpected visitor in the late evening. Zyar, to what do we owe the pleasure? Eli asked, gesturing for their guest to enter. I seek further understanding tonight. I am processing your previous information but find the need for clarification now, not later. Zyar's voice resonated with an urgency that neither man had heard before. Of course, Marcus replied, pulling up an extra chair. What aspects are you curious about? Zyar paced slowly, choosing its words carefully. You speak of love. This concept is foreign to Threxians. I wish to understand not just the emotional, but also the practical function of love among humans. Eli exchanged a look with Marcus, both sensing the importance of this moment. Love can be thought of as the glue in human relationships, Eli began. It's what holds families together, supports friendships, and deepens romantic relationships. It motivates acts of kindness, sacrifice, and cooperation. To understand better, may I observe interactions among your kind? Real instances of these bonds? Zaire asked, its eyes fixed intently on them. Marcus nodded. That might be arranged. Perhaps a visit to a public place. Observing people in a natural setting could be useful. Would tomorrow morning work for you? Eli asked, already thinking of suitable locations. No, I prefer now. Is this possible? Zaire's request was direct and earnest. Eli and Marcus looked at each other, the weight of the request dawning on them. After a brief pause, Marcus responded, There's a 24-hour diner not far from here. It's late, but there should be people there. We can observe a slice of human life. Excellent. We go now, Zaire decided swiftly. The trio drove to the diner in an agency SUV. The diner, with its neon lights and buzzing atmosphere, presented a vibrant tableau of human life. Families, late-night workers, and groups of friends filled the booths. Zaire observed silently, its gaze flitting from the young couple sharing a dessert to an elderly man laughing with his grandchildren. Eli and Marcus provided commentary in hushed tones, explaining the relationships and interactions. See the couple. They share food, which is a sign of intimacy and trust, Marcus whispered. And the family over there, the way they're interacting, the casual touches and smiles, that's affection. It's a fundamental expression of love, Eli added. Zaire watched, absorbing every detail. These interactions are repeated, habitual. They bind your people together. Yes, exactly, Eli confirmed. These small gestures reinforce relationships over time. As they drove back, Zaire seemed contemplative, its earlier urgency replaced by a thoughtful silence. Did the visit help your understanding? Marcus asked as they neared the base camp. It has provided significant insights. Your bonds, your emotions, they are complex yet fundamental. I begin to see their value, even if I do not fully feel them, Zaire admitted, looking out at the fading lights of the town. Understanding is the first step, Eli said, hopeful. Feeling might take longer, but understanding is crucial. Zaire nodded, its expression unreadable in the dim light of the vehicle. Yes, understanding is the first step. Thank you, Dr. Bennett, Dr. Lee. As they arrived back at the camp, the early hours of the morning cloaked their surroundings in quiet darkness. The exchange had opened new avenues of dialogue, and both Eli and Marcus felt the dawn of possibilities, perhaps even the dawn of new understandings between two vastly different species. Back in the alien ship, with another day's early light streaming through the translucent walls, Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee prepared for what promised to be an intriguing session. Today's focus was on human emotions and their connection to physical touch, something Zaire had expressed an intense curiosity about. As they set up, Marcus turned to Eli, his voice low. Think Zaire can really grasp the emotional weight of touch? It's so alien to them. Eli adjusted the display of interactive diagrams. Maybe not fully, but we have to try. Understanding is a bridge, and every piece we add helps stabilize it. Zaire entered the room, its movements more fluid than before, a sign of growing comfort, or perhaps curiosity. You will demonstrate these concepts of touch and emotion today? Yes, Eli responded. We think experiencing some forms of physical interaction can offer deeper insight into human relationships. Marcus chimed in, We'll start with simple gestures. Like this. He extended his hand to Eli in a handshake, which they both shook firmly. This is a greeting, a way to express openness and respect. Zaire observed intently, then mimicked the motion, extending its hand towards Eli, who accepted. The handshake was awkward, the pressure uncertain, but the intent clear. Interesting, Zaire noted. And there are more complex forms? Eli nodded and guided Zaire through a series of interactions. This is a pat on the back, often a sign of encouragement or congratulations. Demonstrating, he gently clapped Marcus on the back. Observing, Zaire repeated the gesture on Marcus, slightly more forceful than necessary. Marcus laughed off the discomfort, adjusting the force of Zaire's hand. Gentler. It's not just the act, but how it's performed that conveys the emotion. Next, Eli introduced a high five, a more playful interaction, which Zaire took to with surprising enthusiasm. The slap echoed slightly in the spacious chamber. This is often seen in celebrations or moments of joy, Eli explained. Joy. This is a frequent emotion in your interactions? Zaire inquired, its tone curious. Very much so, Marcus replied. It strengthens bonds and fosters a positive environment. Eli then moved to a more delicate demonstration. Now let's try something more personal. This is a hug. It's a way to show deep affection or comfort. Eli and Marcus demonstrated a brief, warm embrace. May I attempt? Zara asked, its voice carrying a hint of eagerness. Of course, Marcus agreed, stepping forward. Zara's attempt was initially stiff, but under Marcus's guidance, it softened, becoming more of an embrace than a hold. You're doing well, Marcus encouraged as they stepped back. Each of these interactions has layers of meaning, depending on the context and the relationship between the individuals involved. Zara processed this, then, with a tentative tone, asked, is there a form to express gratitude? I feel this would be appropriate now. Eli smiled, touched by the gesture. A simple thank you often suffices, but if you feel moved, a handshake or a nod can accompany it. Zara extended its hand once more to both men. Thank you. I am learning much about your kind. As they concluded the session, Eli and Marcus packed up their equipment, their minds buzzing with the day's success. I think it's getting through, Marcus. I think Zara is really starting to understand, Eli said with a hopeful tone as they exited the ship. Marcus nodded, looking back at the silhouette of the alien ship against the rising sun. Maybe understanding us will help them understand themselves a bit better, too. Who knows? With each interaction, the groundwork for mutual comprehension grew stronger, hinting at a future where human and Threxian might not just coexist but collaborate and learn from one another. In the cool, dimly lit confines of Zyar's ship, Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee were setting up for another session, this time focusing on more nuanced human interactions. They had brought along examples of cultural rituals involving physical touch, such as dances and ceremonies, to further illustrate the depth of human emotion. Today, we thought we'd show you some cultural rituals that involve touch. Eli began, booting up a video on the large screen. These can be quite expressive and are integral to many of our societal functions. Zyar watched intently as scenes of traditional dances from around the world played. Dancers moved rhythmically, their bodies expressing tales of history, celebration, and sometimes mourning. These movements, they are not merely for physical exercise, Zyar inquired, its head tilted inquisitively. No, they're much more, Marcus explained. Each dance can tell a story, celebrate a life event, or even serve as a communal bonding activity. They're steeped in emotion and tradition. Zyar seemed to ponder this for a moment before speaking. And would it be possible to experience one of these dances? Eli exchanged a surprised look with Marcus. Experience how? You mean to watch one in person? More than watch. Participate. I seek to understand not just through observation, but through experience, Zyar clarified. Marcus chuckled, slightly nervous about the suggestion. Well, I'm not much of a dancer, but we could certainly teach you a simple dance. How about something like a waltz? It's quite structured and might be easier to start with. Zyar agreed, and Eli set up some music. Marcus took the lead, demonstrating the basic steps of the waltz. It's really just a matter of steps and turns, he explained, guiding Zyar through the motions. Eli joined in, helping to correct Zyar's posture and rhythm. That's it, you're getting it. Feel the music and try to move with it, not against it. As the music swelled, Zyar began to move more fluidly, its earlier awkwardness fading away. The three of them danced in the alien ship's chamber, human and Threxian moving together in time to the human music. This is enjoyable, Zyar admitted as the song ended, a note of surprise in its voice. It's meant to be, Eli said, smiling broadly. Dancing can be a celebration, a form of expression, or simply a way to feel joy. Your kind finds joy in many activities, Zyar observed, still catching its breath slightly from the exertion. It is enlightening. Eli nodded, pleased with the progress. Yes, we find joy in engagement, in shared experiences. It's a fundamental part of who we are. As they packed up to leave, Zyar extended a hand to each of them. This sharing of experiences, it has opened new understandings. I am grateful. Marcus clasped Zyar's hand, smiling. We're glad to hear it. It's been an enlightening experience for us as well. Walking back to their base camp, Eli reflected on the day's events. Think about it, Marcus. Today we literally danced with an alien. If that doesn't say something about breaking down barriers, I don't know what does. Marcus laughed, the sound echoing slightly in the cool evening air. Let's hope our superiors see it that way, too. Who knows? This could be the beginning of a whole new kind of diplomacy. Their steps were light, their spirits lifted by the dance and the breakthrough it represented. The divide between human and Threxian, vast though it might be, seemed just a little smaller that day. Under the soft glow of the morning light, Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee prepared for another groundbreaking session aboard their ship. Today, they plan to explore human relationships more deeply, focusing on the emotional connections forged through shared experiences. Today, we're going to talk about something a bit different. Eli began as they set up in the usual chamber, turning on the projector and laying out various photos and videos of human interactions. We're going to discuss personal relationships and the deeper emotional connections they entail. Zar, who had been showing increasing signs of understanding, nodded. I am prepared. Your previous lessons have been most enlightening. Marcus started by showing a video of a wedding. Marriage is a significant human bond. It's not just a legal union, but also a profound emotional commitment. As Zayar watched the ceremony, its eyes lingered on the couple exchanging vows. They are making promises to each other? Yes, Eli replied. Promises to support, to love, and to cherish, regardless of what difficulties they face. It's a partnership that's meant to last a lifetime. Zayar seemed to absorb this, then pointed to another image, this one of two friends laughing together. And this? Is this also a bond? Absolutely, Marcus answered. Friendship is another crucial type of relationship. It's built on trust, shared experiences, and mutual respect. Friends provide support and joy to one another. Eli then showed a series of photographs depicting families, parents with children, siblings, and extended relatives. Family ties can be among the strongest. These relationships are foundational to human society. They can provide emotional and practical support throughout life. I see, Ar murmured. And these relationships are maintained through emotions? Exactly, Eli said. Emotions like love, trust, and joy. But also through harder times with emotions like sorrow and frustration. It's the spectrum of these experiences that binds people together. Zayar paused, its gaze fixed on a photo of a family reunion. To experience such bonds, what is it like? Marcus smiled, a thoughtful look crossing his face. It's hard to describe fully. It's a mix of feeling safe, valued, and understood. But also, it challenges you to be better, to think not just of yourself, but of others. Eli picked up from there. It's why we do things like celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or even remember those we've lost. These rituals help reinforce those bonds. Could I experience one of these rituals? Zayar asked, a curious tilt to its voice. Perhaps we could arrange something simple, Eli suggested, exchanging a look with Marcus. A small celebration to demonstrate. Later that day, they organized a small birthday party for one of the crew members on the base, which Zayar attended. There were decorations, a cake, and a cheerful gathering of people singing happy birthday. Zayar observed every detail, from the blowing out of the candles to the laughter and casual touches exchanged among the crew. After the cake was cut and shared, Zayar approached Eli and Marcus. This gathering, it is joyful. I can see the emotional connections being reinforced, Zayar noted. It is a powerful thing to witness. Yes, and it's these kinds of shared experiences that help maintain our emotional bonds, Marcus replied. As they cleaned up, Eli considered Zayar's reactions. Do you think it's starting to understand, truly understand, what it means to feel these connections? I think so, Marcus said, looking back at Zayar mingling with some of the crew, attempting a clumsy but endearing rendition of Happy Birthday on its own. And maybe it's not just about understanding us, but finding a new way to understand themselves. The day ended with a new sense of accomplishment. Not only had they shared knowledge with Zayar, but that also shared a piece of human experience, bridging the gap between two very different worlds. The soft hum of the alien ship's interior greeted Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee as they prepared for what would be one of their final sessions with Zayar. The atmosphere was charged with a palpable sense of progress, as both sides had grown considerably in understanding. Today, we might try something a bit different, Eli suggested as they arranged their materials. Perhaps we could share how humans express joy and happiness in more dynamic ways? Like a festival, Marcus proposed, pulling up images and videos from various cultural celebrations around the world. Yes, exactly, Eli agreed, turning to Zayar, who had just entered the room. We thought we'd show you some of the ways humans celebrate life itself, through festivals, dances, and communal gatherings. Zayar nodded, its interest evident. I'm eager to learn more. Your expressions of joy are complex and varied. Marcus played a video of the carnival in Brazil, vibrant with colors, music, and dancing crowds. This is one of the largest festivals on Earth. People come together to celebrate life with music, dance, and costumes. Zaire watched intently, its eyes tracking the movements, the expressions of joy and abandon on the dancers' faces. This energy, it is shared by all participants? Absolutely, Eli responded. It's a collective experience, heightened by the presence of others feeling the same joy. Next, they showed footage from the Diwali festival in India, with families lighting lamps and fireworks illuminating the night sky. Diwali is a festival of lights, marking new beginnings and the triumph of light over darkness, Eli explained. Zaire seemed fascinated by the contrast between the bright colors and the dark sky. Such celebration seems essential to your kind. To celebrate is to live, then. In many ways, yes, Marcus said. Celebrations are a reaffirmation of our community and life. Seeing Zara's deep interest, Eli took a chance. Would you like to experience a part of our celebration? We could arrange to share a joyous occasion here with you. Zara's eyes lit up with what could only be described as delight. I would find that most enlightening. Plans were quickly made to host a small festival right there on the base. Decorations were put up, and music typical of a lively street fair filled the air. The base personnel came together, some even donning costumes akin to what Eli and Marcus had shown in the videos. As the music played, Eli and Marcus demonstrated simple dance steps, encouraging Zara to join. Hesitant at first, thus soon mimicked the steps, its movements becoming less rigid. Feel the music, let it guide you. Marcus laughed, spinning around in a mock samba step. Zara attempted to spin, its form awkward but spirited, causing a round of applause from the onlookers. The alien stopped, looking around at the smiling faces. This I understand. There is a unity, a shared happiness. Yes, Eli said, joining in the applause. It's about sharing moments, creating memories together. It binds us, not just as families or friends, but as a community. As the celebration wound down, I approached Eli and Marcus. Today, I have not just observed, but participated. Your joy is contagious. It is a profound strength. Thank you, Zar, Eli replied, feeling a mix of pride and a touch of sadness as their project neared its end. Sharing this with you has been one of our greatest joys. As they cleared up after the event, Marcus looked over at Eli. Do you think we've done enough? I think we've done more than we could have hoped, Eli responded, watching Zar interact with others, no longer as an observer, but as a participant. We shared more than knowledge. We've shared experiences that transcend words. In that quiet moment, as the sun set over the alien ship, the implications of their cultural exchange seemed to resonate deeply, marking not just a successful mission, but the beginning of a new understanding between two vastly different beings. The early morning light cast long shadows across the Nevada desert as Dr. Eli Bennett and Dr. Marcus Lee made their way to Zaire's ship for their final session. The air was tinged with a sense of accomplishment and a hint of melancholy at the impending farewell. As they approached the ship, Marcus broke the silence. It's strange, isn't it? How quickly we've come to look forward to these meetings. Eli nodded, his thoughts reflective. We've managed to bridge a gap I never thought possible. It's a bittersweet feeling, knowing this is our last day. Inside the ship, they found our waiting for them, its posture conveying a solemn dignity. Dr. Bennett, Dr. Lee, you have provided me with invaluable insights into humanity. Today, I wish to offer something in return. Curious, Eli and Marcus exchanged glances before turning their attention fully to Zara. We're listening, Eli said, his voice tinged with intrigue. Zara led them to a different part of the ship, revealing a room filled with holographic displays. I have been recording our interactions, studying them to create a repository of knowledge about humans for my people. But I also synthesized something for you. With a gesture, Zara activated the holograms. Images of Earth and scenes from their sessions began to play, accompanied by a narration in Zara's voice. This is my understanding of your world, through your teachings. The display was a moving tapestry of human emotions, cultural rituals, and everyday interactions, crafted with an alien perspective but unmistakable empathy. Marcus watched, visibly moved. This is remarkable, Zara. It's like seeing ourselves through a completely new lens. Eli felt a profound sense of connection. You've created a bridge not just between our peoples, but between our ways of seeing. Thank you. Zara nodded, its eyes reflecting a depth of emotion they had not shown before. This exchange has altered my perception. I depart with a part of your humanity with me. As they walked back to the entrance, The weight of farewell hung heavy. Your visit has changed us too, Marcus said. I hope this isn't the last time our paths cross. Nor do I, replied. But the future is unwritten. We shall see what it holds. At the ship's exit, Eli turned to Czar. There's a phrase from our history I find fitting now. We part only to meet again, whether here or across the stars. Czar extended his hand, now familiar with his human gesture. Until we meet again, Dr. Bennett, Dr. Lee. Continue to share your light with the universe. With a final handshake, Czar retreated back into the ship, which slowly began to close. Eli and Marcus stepped outside, watching as the ship lifted off, its form receding into the early morning sky until it was just a speck against the vast cosmos. Turning to leave, Marcus put a hand on Eli's shoulder. What now? Eli watched the sky, where the ship had disappeared. Now we go home. We write this down, share it, make sure it's just the beginning. As they walked back to their vehicle, the first rays of the sun crested the horizon, casting the desert in a warm, golden light. The future was indeed unwritten, but the path they'd started on promised new horizons they had never before imagined.